Never accept the idea that you're going to be stuck this way forever. Do not accept the idea that you have to just live with it. And it doesn't matter what the problem is, because a problem is a problem. Never allow yourself to believe that this is just the way that life is. Because in truth, life is whatever you want it to be. You see, but because the world has distracted you from your true power, you believe yourself to be at the mercy of your environment. And because everybody around you is in the same boat, well, then that convinces you to believe that it's true. But we have to remember that we're all conditioned into this life, not only through our environment, but through our biology as well. And that is the way it was designed to be. And that is why I like to say, sometimes we have to forget so we can rejoice in the act of remembering. And so long as we are attached to our conditioning, well, then we will always be a slave to our environment and to the world. But the moment we remember our true nature, we become free. And that is why I see this world of suffering. We may ask ourselves sometimes, why is there so much suffering in the world? And as far as I can tell, when we suffer, we are forced to look within. And the more we look within, the more we find freedom from suffering. So I guess this world is not such a cruel joke after all. But you see, the five senses cause us to be distracted. And so as long as these are the primary faculties we use to live our life, then we are very limited. We are limited in our expression of our true being. Because what we are in truth is beyond the senses, it's beyond concepts, it's even beyond experience. We live in an age of the mind where we require facts and evidence and objective truth in order to believe something. But this comes with many great problems. And one of these problems is that if you're always focusing on the evidence of the current state of your reality, you will continue to reinforce that reality. And then you will be forced to manually create a new one. And that takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy and effort. And this is how most people live their lives. And it's not wrong. It's just very difficult. But there is another way that we can live our lives. A much easier way. And that is, rather than focusing on the evidence of our current state of reality, we choose to see what we want to see. And when we understand that what we focus our attention on, that is what we give our energy to, then we can focus our attention and our energy on anything that we desire. And so why would you give your energy to anything that is not serving you? Why choose to focus on what is negative? Because undoubtedly there are going to be negatives and positives in your life in this moment right now. And most people choose to focus on what is negative. And this is because, in evolutionary terms, focusing on the negative was critical for us to survive. But we can transcend that and choose to focus on what is good. We can choose to focus on what is good in our lives now. And that is the definition of what it means to be grateful. Because if there's always positivity and negativity, then we are free to choose. And some people are more negative than others. Some people are more positive. How I perceive the world is that I neutralize both the negative and the positive. I can see what would normally be a negative situation or a negative experience, and I can neutralize it. And so the experience is not negative to me, because I understand that I create my reality first in my mind. But what most people do is that they see or have a negative experience, and then they react to it, and then they feed that negative experience their energy, and they get pulled down to lower frequencies of vibration. And the more they choose to focus on that negative experience, negative thought, negative feeling, the lower and lower they go. And sometimes we can get trapped focusing on the negative, because life can be distracting. If we never take a moment to step back and create some space between ourselves and our experiences, well, then we'll be just pulled in a million different directions our whole life. Our emotions say go this way, our thoughts say go this way, but we never stop. We never stop to ask ourselves, what way do we want to go? And I see that it is sometimes because we accept this idea that life is just the way it is. And so we give our power away to forces outside of our control. Give our power away to our thoughts, to our emotions, and to our experiences. Never consciously creating our reality. And so we must create some space within us. And once we stop reacting so much to our environment and to our experiences, then we regain our power to go in the direction that we want to go and to create the life that we want. And so we don't have to be subjected to what other people want for us or what the system wants for us. Because in this way we are a slave. And when we are a slave, we suffer. And so by recognizing our true power, we become free, and we become free from suffering. And that power is within you right now, in this moment. And you see, we live in an age of self-improvement We live in the age of the mind. And so we think that a better future is somewhere out there waiting for us. But this is just a distraction from the truth. We think that it takes years to be happy, be peaceful. But what is stopping you from having those things right now? Not the things that you think will make you happy or peaceful, but the happy and peace itself. And when you begin inquiring about this question of, why am I not happy now? You become aware of the things that are getting in the way. You become aware of the things that are keeping you from being happy. And the things, or the thing that is keeping you from being happy, is the story about who you believe you are. Because you believe that you are not happy. And you reinforce this reality. Because our brains are designed to focus on what we feed it. And it is designed to look into the external world and find evidence of our beliefs so that we can reaffirm our identity and the story in our heads. And because there is truth in it, and we believe it as the whole truth. And that is the way that the devil lies, is that there is a seed of truth, but around it is that which is false. And that is what we are tricked into believing. Because there might be a seed of truth in the fact that you are not happy with your current life circumstances. And so we focus on that tiny seed of truth that reaffirms the story in our head. But instead of focusing on the story that we're currently living in, why not just write a better one? Because we give our energy on what we choose to focus our attention on. And if this life circumstance is making you unhappy, or is causing you a lot of suffering, well, then there's no need to focus on that. Because you can focus on what does bring you happiness and what does bring you peace. And as I said, there is positivity and negativity in all things. So without a doubt, no matter how bad your situation is, you can find at least one thing that is good. And if you focus all your attention on that one thing that is good, it will bring you out of that situation over time. Because you're not giving your energy to these lower vibrations. And so that is all you need. All you need is one good thing. And so what I do is that I neutralize the negative and I neutralize the positive. I create the story that I want to live in my own mind. And then I choose to give my energy to what is positive. I choose to focus my attention on what is positive. And so I have a complete space for my experiences and myself. And this space allows me the power to give my attention to what I desire, rather than reacting to the negative or reacting to the positive. And so you see the game that is being played with this system, with the Matrix, is that the Matrix was designed to keep you in illusion so you can forget your true power and your true nature. And this is not a bad thing, because many people will look at the Matrix and say it is evil. But that is just another choice to believe that as fact. When in reality, the universe was designed that way on purpose. And it will never not be that way, because it is necessary to have a counteracting force that helps us to rise up, to become better, to become free. Because without it, there is no motivation, there is no desire. And so without the villain, there is no need to be the hero. And so they complete each other. And we can say that the hero is good and that the villain is bad. But they are both necessary. They are both necessary for the story. And so, in truth, they are both good. But because we desire pleasure and fear pain, our attention focuses on the fact that the villain is evil and the hero is good. That a bad experience is terrible and a good experience is wonderful. But all experience is necessary. All experience is good. And the justification for this, the justification for evil, is that when we experience evil and the suffering that it creates, it forces us to go within, and there we will find freedom from suffering. And the worse that life is, the greater the feeling of freedom, because there is greater contrast. And this contrast between dark and light, good and evil, that is what allows us to appreciate the good. Because if there was no contrast, then everything would be the same. And so Marilyn Manson once said, "Without the threat of death, there is no reason to live at all." And so we have to understand and rise above our lower nature to realize that every experience has good and it has bad. And it is our choice on what we focus our attention and give our energy to, because the universe is perfectly balanced. And in truth, all experience is good. And that good and evil are just two parts to the same thing.